everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Tuesday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I've got a psychologytoday.com article for you, and the title of the article is 8 tips for medical professionals treating people with autism. And what fascinated me about this article was how clearly it was worded and labelled out, but at the same time I want to give my own autistic perspective. But I'm going to read through the main points of the article with you, and then I'm going to give my autistic perspective towards the end. So I hope you enjoyed this article that I found. So 8 tips for medical professionals to treat people with autism. Number 1, know who you are talking to and talk to them like a person. So again, it's about identification, it's about language and coming across to the person who needs the treatment. So rather than talking to our parents, carers or professionals that might be with us, actually talk to us because we're the ones that are having the communication problem, or we're the ones who are sick and need medical attention or medical support. Realise that we have a unique way of communicating with you. So again, whether that's sign language or writing things down or keeping it to a bullet point list, so it's step by step by step by step by step by step, so we know what to do. Number 2, speak in a normal or quiet tone of voice. So again, it's about being gentle, slowing your words down, slowing the tone down so that you don't overwhelm the person or overcomplicate what you're trying to say or what you're trying to explain is going to happen to the person whilst they're in your care by having treatment. Number 3, allow processing time after you ask the autistic person a question. I cannot stress how important this one is because, again, it's about processing, sensory stimulation, auditory stimulation. It's about making sure we've had time to process the question and having time to process the answer and think about how we're going to reply, what we're going to say, how we're going to reply to you, whether that's a yes, no answer or whether we go into a complete deep explanation. So make sure you give us enough time to plan, process and then auditory respond to you in a way that is suitable. Number 4, always include the patient in the conversation. I cannot believe how many medical professionals do not do this in their everyday talking with autistic people. They talk about us like we're not there, or they talk to our carers, our parents, like we're just people who don't understand what the hell's going on, or we don't have the mental capacity to talk, or the mental capacity to make our own decisions with regards to our own healthcare, which is absolutely absurd. They talk to us like we're children and we're not. So please make sure when you do have an autistic adult or autistic young person, autistic child in your care, make sure you do regularly communicate with them. Ask them the questions of how they feel. Ask what they want to happen, because a lot of the time we get ignored and I'm sick of it. Make sure you do involve the autistic person who you're talking to, who you may be treating and facing, and helping to admit to hospital if they so need it. Also, be careful about the extra words that you use. Again, this comes under language and accessibility, which I will link my previous video, Autism and Language, down below in the video description, so you can check that out for yourself. But yeah, be careful with the words that you use. Don't use open-ended questions. So things like, how are you today? Because again, that leaves an open-ended question. Make sure that you ask them a direct question with a yes, no answer or maybe answer, because again, it's a sensory process and it's the overstimulation that they don't cope with too well. Also, use concise and clear language. Again, I've made this point so many times. Always use clear and concise language so they know exactly what's going to happen, exactly how long it's going to take, exactly when they're going to get out of the situation, and then they can go and do what they need to do to self-soothe and self-regulate. So also make it a bullet point list of things that you need them to do. So like listen, explain how they feel, then explain what treatment is going to happen, explain what medications they might need, explain if they need to be admitted to hospital, what ward they're going to be going on, how long they're going to be there, who their nurse or doctor is, what the treatment plan is, because then they can step by step by step by step by step process it. So make sure that you use clear and concise, no long-winded medical jargon or medical long words, because again, it will overstimulate them. Think about the way that you can rephrase and reframe questions. Again, this is so important because when you're rephrasing and reframing questions to autistic people, keep them short, keep them sweet, keep them simple, to the point, so they, again, don't overcomplicate them and don't overcomplicate the words and the language that you use in the question, because, again, it's about making sure they understand what tests are needing to be done, why you're needing to do these tests and why you're needing to touch them, or even point to parts of their body that you may need to touch to find out where the problem is or where the problem is stemming from. So say if they're bleeding, you have to see where the spots are in the body where they're bleeding from, or yeah, but make sure if you are going to have to touch autistic people and you are having to do things that might irritate them or sensory overwhelm them or anxiety overwhelm them or lead to meltdowns, make sure you explain by step by step by step by step what you're going to do. You'll say, oh, okay, so step 1 is, oh, tell me about yourself. Where do you hurt? How bad is your pain? 1 to 10, label where your pain is. Tell me whereabouts the most pain is and get them to point or show you where the pain is. Talk to them in a calm and professional, fluent voice. They know they're not going to get shouted at, they're not going to get called awkward, or they're not going to get mislabeled about something. But make sure you use that calm, fluent tone throughout the whole assessment, because otherwise they're going to get stressed out, they're going to get overstimulated, it's going to lead to complete no communication whatsoever. Also, keep the same doctor or nurse the whole time whilst the patient is in your care, because again, we don't cope with change. So again, make sure if you are treating a autistic person, make sure that you keep the same doctor on shift or the same nurse on shift, because then they won't go into meltdown or anxiety panic. The more you keep their structure and the organisation in place, the more likely they are to talk to you and communicate with you about how it is best to treat them and provide solutions in order to get better communication. Remember to explain carefully and cheerfully what they can happen so they can get back to doing their everyday activity. So again, it's about keeping their options open, keeping it clear, keeping it concise, making sure they have a way out. If they need to have a breather, offer to take 5-10 minutes out of the conversation and then come back to it, because again, they are getting overstimulated. There's too much auditory and sensory stimulation going on in their brain to join in with the conversation. That maybe the words are too heavy or they're not sure of how to respond to you in that appropriate time frame. So again, maybe to give the patient a break. Also, remember to always ask the patient everything from the first instance of hospital or going to the GP surgery or the physician's office. Make sure you keep a log of every time they come to you or contact you on the telephone. Make sure it's dated, timed, logged in a report, so you can go, oh, they contact you here and here and here and here. Oh, they contact me at this time, this time, this time, this time, and oh, it may be about the same issue, or it could be about the fact they're frightened about something. So again, make sure that you keep the conversation simple, respectful, inclusive, and consistent. If you keep the conversation consistent, they're more than likely are going to be talking to you, and you're more likely to get a successful form of communication and a fluent conversation going. Whereas again, you have to be careful that some people on the spectrum may not be verbal. So again, there is that barrier of non-verbal versus high-functioning verbal, or people who have limited words and limited language to talk to you. So again, it's about keeping it simple, short, to the point, respectful, and make sure you keep it inclusive so they don't feel that they're overwhelmed or that they're not welcome to talk to you, because then a lot of autistic people suffer with talking to medical professionals. So again, keep the information simple, to the point. Make sure that you always involve autistic people in their own healthcare decisions. Make sure you don't forget to treat us as adults, or if you are treating an autistic child or autistic young person, make sure you know about their history, research it before time, make sure you have everything on that patient before you actually get to meet them. So yeah, let me know if you agree with some of these tips or not. I will link the article down below in the video description. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!